and broadcast, and it gets a little tough to understand. So we've had three of these meetings now, and we want to make sure everybody understands what everybody's saying. So if you're coming up here, just pull it down so you can speak, and that's perfectly legal. Maintain your distancing. Okay, we'll move to the consent agenda. This month, the consent agenda consists of the August 18th, 2020 regular city council meeting minutes.
I'll move the consent agenda.
Second.
Got a motion and a second on the consent agenda. Is there any discussion? There being none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Thank you. Under administration legal, item A, we've got resolution 20-35, adopting the preliminary budget. And there's been hours put into this. Are you going to do a presentation, Elizabeth?
I don't have a presentation, but I was going to quickly run through. I put together a memo.
Okay.
I'll put up on the screen here. But I met this year, since it was my first year here in Pine Island, going through the budget cycle, we decided to switch it up a little bit. And so what we did first is I met with each individual department to go through their budget items that they're asking for 2021 so that we could vet it individually. And then I brought those numbers to the budget committee, which is Councilor Johnson, Councilor Freeze. We met and went through the budget pretty extensively. I'm happy to say that Pine Island's growing, which is in our advantage. So we are looking at our tax capacity is increasing by about $320,000. This means that while putting the budget together, we could increase our levy by 10.36%, which is $272,669, and taxes would remain the same. So that means no one's taxes should go up. I suggest setting the levy at the 10.62% currently, because once we set this preliminary levy, we cannot increase it. We can only decrease it. So that doesn't necessarily mean that that's where taxes will be set for 2021. It just means that that's a starting point, and then there's room for the budget committee and myself and department heads to meet prior to December, and then we can tighten that and we can always bring it down. So what that means is the proposal, if it stays exactly where it's at, taxes wouldn't change. If anything would be cut from now until December, that would mean a decrease in taxes. There are a few items in the budget right now that we are still working through with the budget committee and department heads. One of those items is additional staffing. We just feel that we need to vet that a little bit more. And so we want to bring in the department heads to actually go through with the budget committee to talk in detail what kind of the job duties exactly would be. And we wanted to look to see if we hired additional full-time staff, if that means that we could decrease part-time hours and things of that nature. So that's probably something that it may fluctuate. Some other items that were included in the budget is we have an added bond payment for the 2nd Street Southwest project. So that's an additional bond payment that we haven't had in years past. We included a 2.5% merit increases for staff, 3% increase in contracted police services. We added an additional $50,000 to our capital outlay account. When I first came to Pine Island, I met with every single department and asked kind of what their goals for their department would be, and every single department asked that we look to the future and increase those capital outlay accounts to start looking ahead to larger purchases, so that way we could have it for the general public who doesn't know what the capital outlay accounts are. That's more like a savings account, so we can put money into that account and it can build over.
Tax base is going up, it can offset those levies. You can do these 2nd Street projects, which is a very expensive project, and still not have everybody's taxes go through the roof, because you're growing. Your amount of money you're dealing with is growing. So very vitally important, and real happy about it, actually.
I'll make a motion to approve resolution 20-35.
I'll second that.
A motion and a second to approve the resolution adopting the preliminary budget. Any further discussion, questions? There being none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Thank you. Item B, under administration legal, resolution 20-36, certifying the 2021 preliminary tax levy, and that basically you're just certifying what we just did.
I'll move 2036. I'll second.
Motion and a second to certify the 2021 preliminary tax levy. Any further discussion, comment? There being none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Thank you. Okay, we've got some money from, I believe, the county for the CARES Act disbursement program. And are we going to break it down, or are we just going to talk about it? What are we going to do?
I can talk about it kind of by department. So as you know from last meeting, the city received about $257,000 from the CARES Act to put towards COVID expenses. Staff and I met extensively going over the needs of each department and how we can use this money to better improve how we're reacting to the pandemic. And then we also had to go through all of our expenses since March to find what expenses could qualify for reimbursement. So after going through that, we broke it down by department, and I can run through, and if you want a more detailed list, I can pull that up as well. I did a handy dandy spreadsheet that kind of breaks everything down. So in the packets is the general overview, but I have for council, we can reimburse special council meeting wages from special council meetings that we had to have to approve certain COVID resolutions. For the EDA, I'm asking for $50,000 to be granted into a grant program for small businesses within the community. The EDA has already voted to approve the grant program if the funding is approved tonight, so we can actually get that launched as soon as this dollar amount is approved. And so any small business in Pine Island would be able to apply for that. Their grants up to $5,000. It's pretty generic in the fact that they just need to use it to reimburse any COVID costs. And so Mitch from our EDA director, he would oversee kind of the grant process in that program. I also have $22,000 in for Majestic Tents. As you know, we have been supplying tents to our bars and our restaurants. So this would take the tents through October. Obviously, we would pull them down if we foresaw any huge snowstorms or anything like that in October. So we'd leave them up as late as we could in October. We talked, when I say we, I mean Councilor Hildebrand and I talked to the bars and restaurants to see if they would be interested in keeping the tents up. And for the most part, the businesses were positive in the fact that they thought that it would increase their sales. So we included that for through October. Then for the general government operations, this is where the largest chunk of the dollars is coming from. We have $81,000 in technology upgrades. What this includes is we could upgrade this room. We'd upgrade our audio visual technology. So we'd actually have 2 TVs up on the wall. So we'd have one for our Zoom, and then we would have one with the agenda. So we could actually have hybrid meetings permanently as we move forward. We would also have cameras, and we'd get a new microphone system, new mixers, all of that. So we could essentially have a smart room for holding our meetings, and that would include better audio for those participants on computers at home, because I know our sound equipment isn't the best, and usually it's pretty poor quality. That also includes laptops for staff downstairs so that we could set up the capability to work from home. This includes kind of a large upgrade since we would have to move to a cloud-based system. Our server, we needed to upgrade it at some point anyways in the next few years, so we would just upgrade to cloud-based so we wouldn't have any physical servers in City Hall, and then that way anyone could work from home as well and connect to the server, and they'd be able to do their work from there. There's a lot of other technology kind of encompassed in that goes along with getting laptops for staff. We also have Laserfish implementation. This is a cloud storage system for all of our files. So we have lots and lots of file cabinets downstairs. This is a way that we could scan it into kind of an electronic filing system, and so that we could search for it easily from the internet versus going and looking through file cabinets. We can reimburse some of our city attorney expenses that are related to COVID discussions. We can reimburse ourselves for any Zoom and VPN expenses that we've had. We have about $1,300 in supplies. And then we can also reimburse COVID-related FMLA payroll that we had. For the fire department, we have about $50,000. $25,000 of that is to reimburse for paid on-call wages. Our fire department, as you know, went on paid on-call status March through May, so we can reimburse ourselves for that payroll. And then we also have equipment. One problem that we're running into is we don't have a second rig completely set up for medical calls. So this way we can buy a second set of medical calls. We had an instance a couple weeks ago where there was back-to-back medical calls and they didn't have adequate time to sanitize everything between calls. So if we get a second rig set up, that way we can ensure that all the equipment is sanitized between calls, since their requirements are so much more than what they used to be. And then we also have supplies and PPE reimbursement. The library is also asking for a laptop so that they can, if they need to work from home, they can run programming, which is what they did for March and April, and it worked well. So they're using personal computers, so this would allow them to upgrade to remote technology. And then they also asked for various supplies like a tent so they could host outdoor programming in the parks and things of that nature. For Public Works, we're reimbursing supplies and cleaner. They did a lot of plexiglass updates throughout our buildings, throughout the city, and then also purchasing radios so that they don't actually have to talk face to face, that they can radio each other and kind of stay separated on projects, things of that nature, and not have that close contact. Some other expenses that I'm suggesting is $10,000 to the Zimbrota area ambulance. As you know, they serve our community, and they did not directly receive any funding through the CARES Act, and so they're looking to recoup some of those costs as well to replenish their additional costs due to COVID. I'm also suggesting $10,000 to the Pine Island School District. Again, they did not receive any direct money from the CARES Act. And as you know, they've incurred quite a bit of additional costs, and they provided some great assets to the community. As you know, they provided meals to students throughout the summer, and they provided free childcare for essential workers. So they definitely incurred costs, but didn't necessarily see those dollars reimbursed themselves. And then whatever was left was the $11,471. So I kind of kept that in there as an overage, just because, as we all know, technology sometimes costs a little bit more than what we get quoted. So I kind of wanted a little bit of cushion in there. It would be my recommendation that if there's still money there at the very end, to just donate whatever is left to the school so they could get that additional funds as well. I just wanted to have a little bit of cushion again in case some of the purchases didn't go quite as quoted.
The Broad ambulance, you mentioned them.
Yep.
So everybody understands this money came from through the county, from the state, or wherever.
Yep.
And if you don't use it by November 15th, you lose it. It goes back to the county, and then they get to use it for their projects. So it's good for Pine Island. We need it. So.
Thanks for including the school.
Yeah. Are we, what are we going to act on tonight? Just the approval of?
Yeah. So if you could approve the budget, then we can start purchasing these items. We are on a time crunch because the money does need to be spent by November 15th. So we can't even have quotes. We actually have to have the check in the mail, money spent by that date. So we'll be moving pretty quickly after this budget is passed to kind of implement the technology and make sure that all of our accounts are reimbursed.
Mayor, I'll move to approve the CARES Act fund disbursement program as presented.
I'll second.
Got a motion and a second to approve the CARES Act fund disbursement program. Any further discussion, question for Elizabeth?
I just want to thank Elizabeth for going through the breakdown of the budgeting. There's a lot of exciting opportunities here. I'm glad to see that this funding is being used as effectively as possible.
I agree.
Mayor, City Attorney Bob Vos, may I comment?
What's that?
Bob
Yes,
wants to comment.
Oh, absolutely, Robert.
Hi, Mayor, Council, I apologize for not being there. It's fun, though, to be on this side of the screen. I guess I would just say to staff, to Elizabeth, in the event the November 15th deadline becomes problematic, just encourage her and the city to talk to us and to financial advisors. I think there may be some leeway there, but November 15th is the right date to use as the target.
Perfect.
Perfect. Thank you, Bob. And I should have added too, I've been in close contact with our auditors, so they worked with me as well, just to make sure that the expenses were all kind of viable.
Perfect.
Thank you. Okay, we've got a motion and a second. Did we vote? No.
Yeah.
No. Okay. Any further discussion, question? There being none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Thank you. Item D, we've got a resolution 20-37 approving the election judge roster for the general election coming up here in a month and a half. And the roster's right in your packet there.
I'll make the motion to approve resolution 2037.
Motion to approve 2037. Is there a second?
Second.
This seems bigger than the past. Is it bigger?
Yes, we
mean,
took
it
on
seems-
as many
looks like it's
people as we
doubled.
could.
Is that just because of COVID?
Not because of COVID, but elections have gotten much trickier the past couple of years.
Oh, well, that's a good thing, I guess. All right. We need to, we've got a motion and a second. Discussion, question? There being none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Thank you. In your packet, you've got a continued ice rink discussion and approval of funds, and Mike was kind enough to go ahead and break these down for us, and I'm going to let you kind of jump in here, Mike, and talk about, it seems like an expensive venture, but it looks like most of the money is being spent moving that frost-free hydrant.
yeah, most of it, Mayor, thank you. Council is moving the hydrant. We opted not to dig up the hydrant in school twofold. They could probably use it for watering. Also, it was not without problems last winter for us, that hydrant. So we think we're better off for the $1,000 in parts to start new. So yeah, excavating, plumbing, and blacktopping, is 3,000 of the 5708 total. From there, it's a liner. We need to put a liner down. That'll make this project a lot easier. Working with Ag Partners on that, so we've got estimates there. Yeah, and then miscellaneous signages. We want to put up a portable. Credit to Public Works, Wayne helped me get a lot of these numbers put together and organized, and make sure I wasn't missing anything. So.
Are these, do we have this bid, or do we just guess it?
The hydrant?
Yeah, the hydrant stuff,
We have
Schumacher.
We have three distinct bids.
We have three bid?
We have copies of, yeah,
Oh,
we have
perfect.
copies of
All
all
right.
three bids.
Oh, okay, perfect. All right, I
Yeah.
just wanted to
Yeah.
make sure we went.
The numbers are there, but he's got possession of the actual
Okay,
contractor's three
all right,
bids. So,
perfect, thank you. Okay,
yeah, I'm certainly happy to answer questions. I guess, Elizabeth and I have discussed a little bit and with her and Wayne, and they seem to feel that we can find this money. Do you want to speak to that at all, Elizabeth? Or
Yeah, Wayne and I kind of talked today about where we could find the money essentially, and so there is some money in our parks account, in one of the contracted services accounts that we didn't utilize as much as we typically do in the summer. So we do have the money to support the ice rink if council chooses to go that way. I know Councilor Hildebrand and I talked today about seeking donations, and so I think we'll approach a couple of area organizations to see if they'd be willing to help out with that as well.
uh,
Lighting down there.
So there's lighting in the parking lot. There's two currently, I could probably lose myself trying to talk about direction, but there's two lights currently shining on the parking lot. We can turn two more. I've been down there at night. I actually think it will be fairly adequate. So
Probably better than we had last year, I thought.
possibly, yeah. You know, again, it is fairly level, and level is relative. There's from one side of that lot to the other where the rink will be, is about 7 inches of slope. So, you know, you'll have 4 inches of ice here and you'll have a foot down here. You know, and so it will take some creative work with our guys that are flooding. I do have, right now I have 4 volunteers out of the gate from last year to come back and help flood. So that's tremendous. You know, we talked about in years moving forward now, and I think the budget committee and Elizabeth are looking at in next year's budget, putting some dollars in for some of these ongoing things. You know, we'll get the hydrant passes, but you know, then from there, even if we can continue to invest it, at some point, I think our community would like to see some kind of warm shelter, some loaner skates. You know, we'd like to get it back to a point where it was previously when the school had it. So again,
Where we getting the shelter, Mike?
what's
Is that
that?
the one we had behind for the food thing? Is that shelter?
No, thank you. I should recognize the Cheese Festival. Wayne had the idea to take the welcome shelter and insulate it because it essentially sits, you know, in the off season, all but a week a year it sits. So we've stored the items that are in it. Part of this bid is the insulation and sheeting to make that building. So we'll use that this year to store our hose. It's got cords running to it so we can run lights and a heater. And so it's actually a perfect little building. So.
Okay. Perfect. Logistically, Wayne, you see any issues moving the parking right across the street to the new lot? That's what it's for, but I mean, we have to retrain a few people, right? Are they using it now?
No, there is no right here. The buses are shut down.
Oh, yeah. We could put some signage up and.
Our biggest problem is piling snow over there.
Mhm.
So we're gonna be really tight with that. Probably back in the summer period, then like it is this year.
Sure. Yep, okay. All right, any other questions, comments on this proposal,
Is
the
this-
approval of the funds?
5,700, is that just for this year then?
Correct. That's this year through March.
Well, but it's, you're
So-
front end loading the cost on the hydrant. I mean, most of
So
your,
50,
Yeah, the bladder will be, typically they are a 1-year expense, but you know, the hydrant is, golly, it's 2/3 of that number, right? So then, you know, but again, I would like to, I mean, we may going forward I'd like to look at some kind of larger investment into it, whether it be
warming
We
out.
did talk about that in our budget committee with wanting to make sure it's a sustainable project and putting monies aside for that next year. And that's why I was curious, like what commitment this year is it on our city staff? If that's going to have any kind of implications financially on us this year, or is this going to be a project that we're going to try to maintain with volunteers again?
Public Works has committed to plow the rink for us. Large snowfalls move the large. Skaters have always moved the snow out of the corners once the snow is moved off the rink. You know, but again, credit to Public Works because they're willing to go above and beyond. I'm willing to recognize that that'll happen after we get all of our streets and sidewalks cleared, right? Then at some point when we have somebody available, we'll get that rink cleared. From there, the rest of the rink will be operated flooding and maintenance with volunteers for this year.
Cool. Okay, any other questions, comments?
I guess as far as payroll exposure for the plowing, I can't see it being significant, Wayne, right?
Is it going to be a heavy overtime cost to the city?
I don't foresee it being really bad. You know, it's a lot of days of snow. You know,
Yeah, and people aren't skating at 3 in the morning. Right? You know?
it's just a matter of when we can get there.
Yeah.
When the snow's
Right.
down the streets, then we can go worry about that. I think it's gonna be fine.
Questions, comments?
Thank you, Mike, for going through all the work of putting these numbers together. This is an awesome proposal.
You're welcome. It's
Yeah, I
it's
think-
rewarding work, and again, I can't credit Public Works and city staff enough for their help, so.
I'll move approval of the funds for the SGA.
I'll second.
Got a motion and a second to approve the funds. Any further discussion, questions, comments? There being none, all those in favor say aye. Aye, pose same sign. Thank you. Okay, we did some tweaking to the EDA bylaws. We need to upgrade, come on up, Mitch. This is Mitch Musson, our EDA director. We need to kind of bring them up to the 21st century and update them.
Yes.
And some nice improvements, and Mitch's going to explain some of the improvements we made.
Yeah, the last time the EDA bylaws were updated was 1993 when the EDA wasn't enacted. So quite a bit has changed with the Minnesota statute since. Well, the main things that we brought up to date is we removed the need for the EDA treasurer and the executive director to sign checks because the city is in charge of the EDA's accounts. The city is the one that signs off. The EDA does not do that directly. And we updated the term lengths and the appointment procedures for the EDA commissioners. They were a little outdated. Now it's the EDA commissioners will be appointed by the mayor, and it'll come before council to have the council approve those commissioners going forward. Those are the two main changes that we made to it.
Okay. Question for Mitch? Just a little tweaking here, but it was necessary. We were getting a little outdated. Very. I think the
What was
improvements
that?
we made are really good.
Yep.
So, yeah. All right. So we have to approve them.
I'll make a motion to approve the EDA bylaws upgrades.
Motion to approve. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Kelly, okay. Any other questions, comments for Mitch? There being none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. All same sign. Thank you. Item G, resolution 20-38, declaring cost to be assessed in the order and of preparation of proposed assessments. Is that Vanessa? Come on up, Vanessa.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. The resolution before you is setting some estimated costs for the Second Street project. That the total estimated construction cost is a little over 1.5 million. And then when we include the 30% for the engineering administration contingency fund, that's that 456,000 for a total project cost of 7.8 million. You can see item 1 breaks out the portion that would be responsible from the city and then what would be assessed against the residents. The city would pay approximately 1.3 million and residents would pay 616,000. So that's just that resolution before you tonight.
Okay.
Any questions?
I'll move approval 2038.
I'll second.
Okay. Was this more expensive than Fifth Street? Because that was a bilateral or a cooperative thing, wasn't it? Yeah. Okay. We got a motion, a second. Any further questions, discussion? I think somebody said we're going to pave next week.
Oh, yes, absolutely. I was going to give an
Share
update.
the good news.
Yeah. Yep, the intent is to pave this first, what I'm calling phase 1 between Second Avenue and Main Street, and then on Second Avenue between Second Street and Third. The intent is to pave weather permitting.
Yeah, weather permitting. Okay. We got a motion, and a second on 20-38. Any further discussion, questions? There being none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Thank you. And then we'll move to 8, which is resolution 20-39 for hearing on proposed assessment October. You're going to set the hearing date. Is that what you're doing?
Yep, this resolution is just setting the date of October 6th at 7 o'clock here in council chambers.
Okay, and we're just approving that hearing date. Is that correct?
I'll make a motion to approve 2039.
Second.
David moves. And was that you, Mike, the second? Okay. Yeah. Discussion, questions?
Has conversation been going well between the contractors and the homeowners? Would
Yeah,
you say?
so far so good. Everybody seems to be, relatively pleased despite the disturbance of
Sure.
their daily lives.
Well, it'll be over before you know it.
It will, about 6 weeks.
Okay, we've got a motion and a second to approve that hearing date. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Thank you. We've been working with Matthew Construction on a road agreement for their proposed sand pit out on, what is that name of that road? Riverview Road. So Craig's been in on it, Elizabeth's been in on it. We've got a lot of people that have sat through these meetings. I think tonight we're just going to talk about progress on that agreement. We haven't got a set agreement, but go ahead, Craig.
Right. So Mayor and Council, yeah, so just a brief update on the Matthew agreement. Actually, Milestone, who's a division of Matthew, is looking at performing some mining operations on a piece of property out on Riverview Road. And although that piece of property is in the township, they're going through conditional use permit for permitting the property as a mining operation. The street is actually a city street. So that's why we have a road agreement between Matthew and the city, kind of outlining what their expectations of the city are and who's maintaining and some other stipulations in the agreement there. So very close on coming, bringing forward a final agreement, and that should be on October 6th. We're hoping to get that on the agenda. So.
Just to set some, I guess, questions to rest, I think we're proposing, if I'm not mistaken, some kind of an annual review. Is that correct?
Yep, that's right.
So as this thing progresses, if it gets bad or whatever it might be, we can at least sit down with Matthew and try to address it. All right. So we're not going to act on it tonight. We're going to act in October. Is that correct?
Nope, no action. We're going to get a final draft in front of them for agreements before we bring it back to council.
Any question for Craig on that? Okay. Thank you, Craig. Okay, item J, the United Methodist Church street parking request. Al, are you going to talk about that? Well, come on up here, young fella. We got the depiction up on the screen there.
Well, we decided, we haven't had church in church yet. And a few weeks ago, some of you have met Pastor Tony Fink. He's been around town quite a lot. And anyway, we decided to get a transmitter. And we have the ideal situation. It's from the United Methodist Church. You're familiar with this on the north end of town. And we have a deck right out of the parsonage, so we're up high. And so we thought we might have a few people come. Well, more people come in their cars than we thought. And so we need a little more space. And we can get 12 to 13 cars in the lot and without blocking the alley. Our proposal, and the transmitter will take us just about to Main Street. That's where it'll go to. The proposal is trying to be really good neighbors with the people around there too, would be that we could park cars on both sides of the street, on the south side, the wrong way. Just, we wouldn't block the street, wouldn't do anything with the street, and just have them parked so they would be looking, because you can sit in a car and see Pastor Tony or the music, along with turning on your FM radio. And so he went to the neighbors. They were all no problem for us to do that. It'd be about an hour and a half on Sunday morning only. And it would give us about 7 more cars, because it'd give us about 4 or 5 on the south side and about 3 on the north side. But the south side would not be following the rule the way it's supposed to, the law the way it's supposed to be. So the request is that and we really didn't want to have people there and have the police come along and give them a ticket while we was having the sermon. So
Yeah, I understand.
no, but anyway, we just we want to be sure and that it's okay that we do it, and it would give us another, like I say, about 6, 7 cars.
Right. Questions for Al? The only question I have is, God forbid we're going to have snow.
So
that alley needs to be plowed, I would imagine.
Yeah, you know what? By that time, we won't be there.
Oh.
I mean, we're even going now one Sunday at a time if it gets bad. This won't be. We're not asking for this. You know, if church opens up inside or anything like that, it won't be. It's just these next few weeks. If we have good weather and we can have it outside, and we can have the deck, and so, and I'll take that back to them about the snow, but I don't think that's going to be any issue at all.
Jason, is there any law enforcement or public safety concern about parking?
No. I got no issue with it.
Okay.
I'd
so-
like to help out the Methodist Church. If they want to meet on Sundays, I'd make a motion to approve
Yep.
the request to accommodate the parking on that street there and allow them to attend services.
Second.
Got a motion and a second to approve the parking request.
Thanks, Al.
Discussion, questions for Al? There being none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Pose
Thank
same
you very
sign.
much. I'm glad we needed the space and you offered it to us.
Thank you
So,
for coming, Al.
Heck yes, thank you, Al. Okay, we've got a candidate forum coming up, and everybody's very excited about this. We got a lot of social media play, but it looks like we're gonna set a time and date here tonight, is that correct?
Correct. So
And-
we're going to have the EDA host the candidate forum. It will be here in council chambers on September 30th. We're going to do a little bit different this year in the fact that we're going to separate council and mayor races. So at 7 p.m. we're doing the city council members, and then at 8 p.m. we'll do the 2 mayoral candidates. We'll have more information come out this week. We'll start advertising for that. We are planning on doing the same as we do for council meetings, so we'll have a hybrid in-person virtual so people can attend from home. And since we do have limited seating, we are asking the public that they can submit any questions to City Hall until noon on Friday, September 25th. And then we'll be preparing those questions that we receive, and we'll actually be giving those to the candidates ahead of time prior to the forum. And then if there's additional time, there will be a chance to ask kind of candid questions during the forum as well. We'll take questions both in person and we'll take them online as well. So our plan is to do the council candidates from 7 p.m. to 7:50, and then we'll take a 10-minute break, and then we'll do the mayoral candidates from 8 o'clock to 8:50 if the candidates go down, since there's only 2 of them.
Who's gonna narrate?
So we're going to have Mitch.
Mitch, wow, there you go. That's above and beyond, Mitch.
Throw them to the wolves.
And this will be recorded and posted online after the fact, just like the council meetings.
Correct. So we aren't going to live stream it on Channel 7, but we will record it and we'll play it multiple times on Channel 7. In addition, it will be recorded like every other city council meeting, and then we'll have it on our website for people to view after the fact as well. So that's kind of the positivity of having the hybrid meetings.
Awesome, thank you.
Do we need to act on this, or are you just gonna announce it?
This is just an announcement.
Okay, just announce. All right. Any further questions, comments on the much anticipated candidate forum? All right, we'll move on to item L, which is a discussion on the Civil Defense Director resignation.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. I've been Civil Defense Director twice in town, just about 10 years now combined. Accomplished a lot of things, sirens and cleaning rivers and monitor systems and all kinds of things. My duties keep getting added on at the streets and parks, and for other reasons too. It's getting to be ice rinks. It's that time I need to step down. I'd planned on the end of the year, but I had some personal things come up that I'd just as soon do it now. If that's all right.
Question, Wayne.
Yep.
Would you give me 30 more days?
You need it.
Here's the deal. So it's my job to appoint this successor. And I want to think about it, talk about it, interview, and kind of come up with the right person. If you resign tonight, as everybody in this room remembers, our biggest flood happened September 10th of 2010. If I don't want to be without a civil defense director for 30 days. If you give us to the next council meeting,
Yep.
I'll have somebody in front of the council to approve.
And that's fine. I'm not going anywhere. I'm here to help whoever steps in.
So thanks for all your help, Wayne. You did a great job, and
Good job. Appreciate it.
we'll miss you.
Thank you.
What is it?
It's September 24th. Not September 10th.
Oh, was it?
September 24th.
Oh, 2010, right.
This is my 5-year wedding
All right.
anniversary. That's neat to keep with my grandma.
Were you called on?
Once, right?
I'm just kidding.
Thanks for correcting me. All right. Yeah, so that's 9 days away. All right, so anyway, let's move on. No planning commission meeting this month. Public Works and Engineering, we've got a request to approve bids for Public Works surplus auction. I see we've got those in here. Are you gonna do, or you wanna just review them, or does the council need to ask Wayne any questions, or these are for the items we're auctioning off?
2 pickups that we sold, or selling. Yeah, we got bids on them.
Yeah, they're in here someplace.
Yeah, you should have them before you.
Yep, it's a loose sheet. It wasn't ours anyway,
Blue
the other
sheet?
side of the binder.
Attached to the.
There's a handout.
Oh, yeah, thank you.
Since we just opened bids
Thank you,
yesterday
yeah,
morning.
Okay.
I'll move to approve the bid.
Motion to approve the bids.
Second.
Okay. Perfect. Good job, Wayne. Way to coordinate that. Any further comments or questions? There being none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Pose same sign. Thank you. Item B under Public Works and Engineering, we've got a pay estimate number 4 to Schumacher Excavating in the amount of $207,825.74.
Good evening again. So as you mentioned, the pay application before you is the application number 4 to Schumacher Excavating. That includes about 500 feet of water main installation, 600 feet of sanitary sewer, the pavement of the curb and gutter along the first phase, and laying the majority of the road base, the aggregate for that portion as well. Just a little bit of an update on the project. As we previously mentioned, they are planning to pave in the next week or so. They paved sidewalks on the south side of what we're calling phase 1 today. They'll continue paving the north side tomorrow. And then once that's completed, the asphalt will come in the next week or two. Shortly after that, they'll bring in the topsoil and they'll begin sodding that final portion. They have installed services, or the water and sanitary from 2nd Avenue to Kennelly Court. They're currently working in that intersection of Kennelly Court and 2nd Street. And then they're going up Kennelly Court this week. They'll probably spend the next week and a half in that area. At the same time, they're gonna ideally bring in a second crew to continue going up the hill from Kennelly to 4. So they're making good progress, and they're bringing the road crew right behind the utility crew to get this buttoned up for the winter.
Perfect.
Looking great.
Yeah, it really looks nice. Good job, guys.
They've done a fantastic job. And they've been really great to work
That was the
with.
toughest street we had left by far.
Mayor, I'll move pay estimate number 4 for Schumacher Excavating, $207,825.74.
Motion and a second for pay estimate number 4. Further discussion, questions for Vanessa?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I think you're gonna be up again here, aren't you? Or is that Craig? Yeah, so all those in favor say aye. Aye. Pose same sign. Thank you. We'll move on to item C, which is pay estimate number 4 again, to Preferred Tank and Tower in the amount of $94,185 for the Island Heights Water Tower project. How are we coming on there?
Good. The interior work is completed. They are finishing up with the exterior coating or painting. The Panthers lettering should be going on later this week. So they're planning to be wrapped up here on the 20th or early next week. So completion date is this Friday, and right now they're just waiting for the interior coating to cure and dry up so they can.
How much does this leave to pay them?
Well, so that's a couple things. So one is the estimate here that they sent me. They sent me a note yesterday and said that there was a typo in their pay request. So if it's okay with you to pay them more of the exterior coating, that would bring the total up to $110,385.
And I believe council should have the updated pay app as a handout before you.
Yeah. So they just sent that to me yesterday. So if you're okay with that, to pay that amount, then what the remaining amount is, there's still $36,000 in retainage, and that brings it to close to $40,000 to wrap up.
So we've got a $40,000 contingency fund.
Yep, retainage. So, yep.
So are you wanting us to make the approval for 110,000?
Yep, 110,385. Yep.
I'll make a motion to approve pay estimate number 4 in the amount of $110,385.
Second.
Motion and a second. Discussion. You know, I haven't been part of anybody that painted a water tower before. What kind of, I mean, what if the paint starts peeling next week? I mean, what do we do there? I mean, is there just any kind of a warranty on this? Or I know how long do we retain that money?
Yep. So there's a warranty. The retainers would be paid with the final pay request, but the contractors are bonded. So we'll have that in place if things start chipping and all that stuff, which we don't expect, but if it does.
I don't either. I just,
we're covered. Yep.
because we're gonna do another one here in a couple of years, I think.
Yeah, a couple of years, Hillcrest will need to be done too. So, yeah.
Okay, well, we got a motion and a second. Discussion? There being none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Both same sign. Thank you. Thank you, Craig. All right, we'll move to public input. We've got a guest speaker tonight. He's Todd Gresseth, is running for the District 3 County Commissioner, and he must be good because he beat me. Go ahead, Todd, introduce yourself.
Mayor, Council, thank you for the opportunity. Todd Gresseth, I live in Wanamingo, just up in Roscoe Township, right up on the edge or about 2 miles south of town. So been in Wanamingo for my whole life. I'm the 5th generation on my farm place, so very fortunate there. Been 31 years I've been on the fire department, first responders. 8 years now I've been on the Roscoe Township Board, current board chair. I was in Road Area Ambulance. I'm the president of that right now, and thank you very much for that donation. That's just awesome. We really appreciate it. So.
Thank you for your work. Yeah.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Thanks, is ours. Really.
Yep. So I've had my own business in Wanamingo 31 years. 31 kind of comes around here, doesn't it? So it's funny, when I got into town, the guy I bought my agency from, he was a school bus driver and a firefighter. So he quit both of them. So I got all 3 of them. So, and I'm still a school bus driver too. So small towns, you get to wear a lot of hats.
You need one more thing to do, it sounds like.
I do need one more thing to do. And, pretty active in my community. You have a very good slogan, was experience counts. He would have made a really good county commissioner, by the way. But the experience does count. I mean, all my years with being in the, on Main Street, and, I've done a little bit developing. I wasn't real good at it, but it was, so it, people have said, what's one of the toughest things you've done? And I said, one of the toughest was, I have 2 Lutheran congregations in Wanamingo, and I got them to agree to share a pastor. I mean, there was workshops and meetings, but it was, there's a lot of emotions in there, and I think issues like that will come up with the county, and I think I've, like I said, the experience and been in different situations. So garbage right now is probably one of the more frustrating things that we out here in the outskirts have to deal with. I'll definitely keep track of that and make them honor the agreement as close as we can. I'm assuming I shouldn't say it, but they might be driving around in new pickups and stuff, but who knows? So we'll definitely keep an eye on that. And budget, obviously, just today now they approved a 2.87 increase for 2021. It's nice to try to keep it down, but it's always been a 3-2 vote on the commissioners down there. So it's, maybe there'll be a different change after the election.
Now?
They've got 5. Yep. They appointed Linda Flanders last year. So, and now Linda has someone running against her, and Paul Drodos also has a candidate running against him. So.
Questions for Todd?
Any questions?
Comments? My only comment, Todd, is we'd like to see your face once in a while. And this is no way to disparage your predecessor, but in my 10 years as mayor, we saw him once. Okay.
And
we get
that
a little
won't
bit
happen.
forgotten. We're a bi-county city, and it's like, we kind of, people assume that Olmsted County's taking care of stuff, and people assume that Goodhue County's, and we'd like to see a more open communication.
Absolutely. And I'm just up in Roscoe, one of the neighboring townships, so, definitely close. And I got a lot of connections with, I got beat up on that football field how many years? When Wanamingo played. Well, Eric Maxim and Brian Segrist. So I've been in Pine Island a lot. So anything else, I'll let you go.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yep, I'll just leave a few of these here.
Sure. Hey, is Ralph Kaler on there? Yep. Okay.
Yes,
Ralph,
I am.
We're in public input, and we're taking on politicians, so fire away here.
Well, it's your lucky night to have 2 of them then. No, I appreciate it. I wish you can hear me okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm standing outside the Cannon Falls City Council chamber. I'm going into their meeting next. So I am running for Minnesota Senate District 21. I come to the table with a little different pedigree than most of the politicians that you've had to vote for. I'm a farmer, a worker, a solar developer, and a business owner. It's been a long time since we've been able to vote for someone that's a farmer, a small business owner, and from a rural community. If you look back, many people have never had the chance to vote for someone to represent them in this district, particularly in the Senate with a similar background. I think my family's been in the area. I'm the 4th generation owner operator of a family farm. We're currently in transition generation 5 and 6. So that gives me a history of transitioning into and out of an agriculture business. I think that's important at St. Paul. The other side is my oldest son is the CEO of our solar company, one of the fastest growing solar companies in the state. So I have experience of working in a startup industry, and we're one that's grown. We've created over 100 high-paying jobs. We've developed over 100 megawatts of solar and brought over $200 million of economic development to rural Minnesota. So I don't come to the table with a whole bunch of promises about elect me and suddenly I'll start to do a whole bunch of things for Minnesota. I've been working for Minnesota for decades. We've worked across the aisle in many situations. In fact, our most notable accomplishment is, if you remember, when Governor Ventura went to Cuba and that farm family opened up trade after negotiating with Fidel Castro, that's our family. So my whole point is, I think we need more farmers and we need more rural representation at St. Paul. Right now, it comes as a surprise to most people. There are no active farmers in the Minnesota Senate from either party. There are no active farmers in the DFL caucus. I can be the person that will give us a seat at the table in both of those scenarios. We'll have someone with skin in the game sitting at the table instead of hoping someone will carry our voice into the discussions. That's a significant difference. So I would ask that you give me your support. I encourage you to check my background with our current senator, and I believe I can represent what the district needs because I live it, breathe it, and my family, my career, my future, just like yours, is all dependent upon Minnesota being prosperous and this district being prosperous. That makes the big difference how I approach the issues at St. Paul. So with that, I thank you for letting me join you versus at Zoom when I'm standing outside another meeting that I'm going into, but at least you know I'm willing to hustle to get the job done, even in a difficult situation. And
on that note.
Oh, we lost you, Ralph.
Ralph, that's his name, Ralph Kaler?
Ralph Kaler.
Yep, and I'll add as well, I've gotten to know Ralph well over the past 3-4 months, and not only would he represent our district with integrity, but as mentioned, it's a voice that's not present in the Senate right now. So I firmly believe that Ralph Kaler would be a great Senate candidate.
Okay. Public input.
Along with a comment. And I'd just like to know what the next steps could be to facilitate some discussion.
So,
I'm new at this.
Yeah, we didn't do retaining walls. Okay.
Which were there,
Yeah.
I should mention.
We had a, as you know, Brandon, you live on that street, there's
Oh, yeah.
a huge elevation change from
Yep.
one side, I guess you call it the north, the south. We knew we were gonna deal with some slope. I know we talked about retaining walls at one point. You know, the trees in the boulevard are always a touchy situation because what have you got, 6 feet between the sidewalk and the curb, something like that? And you plant a tree in there and the next thing you know, you're busting up the sidewalk in 20 years. And you know, I'm 100% agree with you. Those trees were the prettiest trees.
Yeah.
Why not? They were gorgeous when they were, especially about now. But, you know, we can take it under advisement. It'd be a beautification thing because we've already set the levy or set the assessment and all that. But I know we discussed retaining walls at one time. It's just trying to save money. But I'm sure not trying to inconvenience the football game.
Well, yeah, and I want to be clear too that I did talk to Wayne about, I understand what it means to put trees back in the boulevard for, you know, future problems to deal with what we had to deal with before. So my request isn't necessarily to put them back in the boulevard, but maybe find some happy ground where we can put them back a ways into our property. For some possible, you know, allowance or help in getting some bigger trees in, so by the time I'm 80, you know, they're maybe grown up.
What was maples? What were they?
They elm? No,
maples?
Or they were maple. Maybe were maples.
Turned yellow there.
Yeah, I think they were maples.
Well,
so just let me know how I
Sure.
can help, and I'd love to chat. So thanks for the time, guys.
Those are fair questions. Thank you, Brandon.
Well, and I like the fact that Brandon, he took the right path and he reached out and was asking for solutions rather than going out and trying to create issues. And that's why I look forward to trying to find a solution, because that's probably one of the most attractive streets in Pine Island.
Yeah, it's a historic.
It's a good spot. A little.
Well, you know what? Those are good suggestions. You know, but part of our responsibility is not just to tear things apart, it's to put it back together and try to bring it back somewhat to what it was. And that's a gorgeous street, and it's a historic street, and I think, you know, it might behoove a discussion down the road to how can we make that kind of more beautiful. Yeah, all right. Any other public input?
I would like to recognize your birthday tonight. And perhaps singing happy birthday to the mayor for his 71st birthday.
Oh, good Lord.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear mayor. Happy birthday to you.
Thank you, everybody. When you've had 71 of them, they start to take on less significance. But thank you so much. Let's see, any other public input? If not, we'll move to legal. Bob, you got something to say? Bob still there?
I am still here. I have to say happy birthday, Mayor. And totally unrelated, I wanted to say just in relation to Wayne stepping away from his role, he's done a fantastic job at that. I work with a lot of folks that do that job. He's taken it very seriously, which not everybody does. And so I just want to congratulate him on that job. But more importantly, Mayor, happy birthday.
And I'd just like to say, Bob, in my 10 years up here in front, that's the first time you've been 15 minutes early.
Wow.
And
Wow.
Wow.
You know what I'm talking about.
I do.
That was like a zing at the attorney's expense. Don't you? That's crowd pleasing.
You're just saving us money. Okay. So legal's good. Claims?
Make a motion to approve claims.
Second. Second to approve claims. Discussion. There being none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Thank you. Move to departments. We got Rachel on the horn.
Oh, yeah.
What are you thinking, Rachel?
Hello, everybody. Sorry I'm not there tonight, but we've got some exciting things happening at the library. We are reopened for people to come in and use the facility. up to 10 people. No appointments needed, but the doors are locked. So please come on up the stairs and ring our new doorbell and we'll let you in. Open regular hours. So Monday and Friday, noon to 6. Tuesday, Thursday, noon to 8. And Wednesday, 9 to 6. Yes. And then 9 to 2 on Saturdays as well. We also have 2 brand new return boxes outside, kind of by the youth library and elevator door, that are one's for books and one's for DVDs. We got a nice grant from SEMA on that, and they're installed. So thank you to Public Works for installing those for me. And we've had a couple of people already use them, so it's kind of fun to hear the doors open and close because I can do that from upstairs at the desk. And feel free to make use of those instead of climbing all the way up the stairs to just drop off some books. But those up the stairs will also be open. So either way you want to do it. Curbside service is still available. So if you want to check out books without coming in or check out DVDs, just give us a call when you get to our library and we'll help you out with that. The last thing I have to talk to you about is the garage sale. We're participating this weekend with a book sale, and we're also selling our light up libraries that were, I believe the chamber had those a handful of years ago, and they gave them all to us. So big bags of grab bags of books will be $5 a piece. They're going to be sorted by genre, or and there are at least 5 books in there. And then also those little light up libraries will also be $5. So come on by and get some library goodness.
I'm interested to hear that the return boxes at the bottom of the stairs was in a grant through SEMA, Southeastern Minnesota Area Agency on Aging. They are also sponsoring the farmers market this Friday. We not only are the citywide garage sales this weekend, but we have the farmers market Friday afternoons. And SEMA as an organization has done an incredible job contributing to this community, whether it be through a grant like this or through other means. So I'm excited to hear about that.
Thank you, Rachel.
Thanks, Rachel.
Thank you all.
Wayne, you got anything, Public Works?
One quick thing, I sent you guys an email, I'm just trying to get it out to the public. One of our garbage haulers, Countryside, disposal, their shop burned down last Friday night, including all 3 of his trucks. Obviously, we're waiting over the weekend, so he did one day get a truck rented. He plans on trying to get back on schedule the best he can. So people are supposed to put their hands out on Wednesday like they normally do. He may be late, or if he has to come back in the morning, he'll get it, but he will come and get it. Guaranteed. So he's very dedicated.
Yeah.
He's dedicated to his customers.
Jordan runs a great business, so I ask the public's patience while he works through this. He's an asset to our community. Yeah.
Thank you, Wayne. EDA, you got anything? Fire department? If not, I'll just take a motion to adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
We're done.